Hey everyone, it's LCid932 on YouTube. Thank you for joining me again. This is for Love is Blind DC. We're going to be doing episode 10. So, thank you for joining me. Please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and definitely, leave me a comment and let me know what you think about this episode. So, we learned that it's 13 days before the wedding. Hannah and Nick take engagement photos, and they look to be in a better place. Then we're told, hey, 12 days before the wedding. That was quick. Ramses and Marissa. Marissa's worried about the fight that they had, and he feels like, they're switching from 3 to 5 to sooner. Is there anything else? And I'm thinking they're talking about having a kid. And she said, of course, things will change over time. And I understand where Marissa's coming from. It's like now we're living together, now we're putting these things in place. So, of course, it's going to be a little bit different and we will adjust our timelines. So he's like, yes, but this is about important things. This is about big things. And she's like, hey, it's good. It's all good. And I feel like, Marissa, you're sweeping things under the rug. So she said she's concerned that she is sick at times and some of those deficiencies he may, be worried about. And he's like, he doesn't feel pressure to prove anything, and he doesn't want her to feel pressure. He's concerned about, physical intimacy, and it feels like it's waning. Is this going to be long term? Can he live with this? But he still wants to marry her. So Marissa says, men cheat when their wife is sick or post baby for all kinds of reasons. And Ramsey said, hey, that is a fair question. And the song that Netflix plays, because they always got a great song for the moment, is My Head's a Mess. Perfect song. Then we have Tim and Alex. They meet his parents at his house because we can't meet them at hers. Let's leave that there. They do call him Drake. Mama said his name was not supposed to be Tim. Alex, I hope you're paying attention. So Mom does like the idea of the experiment. She shares, the separation point to her that she, the mom, when she's angry or emotional upset, she just needs some space. And have they had that moment? So Mom said, love makes it work if you're willing to give and take. So, Mom says, be serious when it's about marriage. And Alex said, I don't believe in divorce. And, he needed her dad's blessing before she went wholeheartedly. Now, Tim's dad seems nice. He seems very quiet. Mom is always looking at him like, what do you think? That's when he kind of pipes in. And I love that dynamic. I guess it works for them. But it was just startling that Dad is looking and observing. He's watching his son. He's watching Alex. He is observing and reading everything. When they go outside, Tim says that, it doesn't. They always don't sync on the lighter things. And, he's not touchy-feely like she wants. And Mom says, be open to what hurts your partner. And that was great advice, Mom, because even though he's not the huggy, cuddly type, be mindful that not being that could hurt your partner. And Mom goes on to say, no one is perfect. You will never find perfection. No matter how long, you're going to have to go through some things, and it's not easy becoming one. And Mom checks in with Dad, and Dad is like, yeah, it's hard. But his parents do support him and support what they're going through. So I did like that interaction, because it is hard becoming one. It is hard from being who you are, and then now you have to adjust, not change, but adjust to the needs of a partner. We have Tyler and Ashley. She is disappointed in him. Remember, he just revealed that he was the donor for some children. Now, if you look out into the internet streets, you will find a whole lot more information about Tyler and these children. So she says she needs time and she needs to know more about the situation. And Tyler says, hey, he was told by God to help someone else, so that's why he donated. And he also said he don't think that the kids know what he looks like. We'll put a pin in that. So she said, let's take this hour by hour. They're going to give it a try. He says he will sleep on the couch. He won't be upset if it's not a yes, but he is scared of them not working out. The song Netflix plays is Too Late to Say I'm Sorry. Definitely too late. Now it's 11 days before the wedding. Taylor and Garrett, they take a calligraphy class. Remember, Taylor brought the letters that her grandparents wrote to each other, and even the one that her grandfather used to propose to her grandmother. So they have been, they have been writing and hiding letters to each other because of their busy schedules. They may not get to see each other, but they have just been doing something nice for each other. And I really like that. So they also want a letter writing station at the wedding. Taylor wants to do something for his parents at the wedding, and he said his mom is still struggling with it all. We move to Hannah and Nick. They do an aerial obstacle course. Nick said this is a team effort. She says his icks are becoming funny to her. I'm glad, Hannah, that you're changing and realizing that it's not necessarily an ick, it's just your partner is different. He says he's ready to get married, and she says she doesn't want to be the one to always start a tough conversation or, initiate intimacy. Hannah says he has not been initiating these things. So Nick says sometimes you think a level below you. Yeah, she's been treating you. I'm glad you're picking up on that, Nick. Hannah says you get treated like an equal when you start contributing like an equal. She sometimes feels like at 28 he should know things. And as long, he says as long as he's working hard and they have the same goal, that is all he can do. And he says he's growing. And the song they pick is My Future Is With You. Now, Hannah, you said you get treated like an equal when you contribute like an equal. Well, technically, young lady, you do not have a job right now. Nick is the one sustaining the family right now. Now, yes, you may have savings, but right now he is gainfully employed. And like he told you the other day, he just gained 2 new clients. So pipe it down a little bit, determine what is equal, because again, marriage isn't about it has to be equal down the middle. It's you both contributing and you both happy in the union. So Marissa and Ramses, she says she was talking to the wedding planner. She says she doesn't want an aisle, which means 2 separate sides. She wants the 2 families to become one. And, now he says he knows how to navigate around her PMS and changes. So he says, he has the normal nerves about planning, and she doesn't want to seem needy, but she does need clarity. And he says, yes, he feels the nerves, but he also feels good. And she feels confident and good too. And the song they give them is Hold On to Love. We have Alex and Tim. Remember, we just had to sit down with his parents. She sits at the counter and he's on the couch. And I'm like, their apartment looks different. I don't see the floor to ceiling windows. I don't see the beautiful view. It's like their apartment is understated. Maybe it's the crew apartment, but it is not at all like the other apartments. So Tim says he doesn't appreciate that she went to sleep right after the cameras went out, that his parents were there. They were the most important people in his life, and they drove from very far to get there. So she says she was exhausted. She likes her naps. And, if it meant so much, then she would have stayed up. Now, come on, Alex. These are his parents. What do you mean if it meant so much? For one thing is the parent unit, you take extra time. So Tim says she was asleep for most of the day. She's like, she was asleep for an hour. And she just keeps interrupting it. Every time Tim brings up something, Alex is interjecting. Alex is saying something else. And I'm like, Alex, please let him finish. He says they talked about her car and she didn't really talk. And he just can't finish his point. And he kept saying, can I finish? So he felt like she is dictating when they can talk. Because she's like, after the nap, she woke up, she called him, and he's like, well, now is not a good time for him. Now, I don't know if it's really not a good time for him or if he just didn't want to give her that win, so to speak. So it's like he didn't want to give her that, advantage. So Alex says, she didn't respond, but he didn't communicate that bothered him. And he was quiet. Tim was very quiet. He let her speak, get all her points out. She said she gets tired easily. She talked to them, his parents, for 4 hours, and she needed a nap. He has to say what bothers him, and she can't read his mind. He wants her, buy the book, but he doesn't tell her about the book. She feels dismissed and closed off from him. And Tim says what he wants in a wife, she doesn't have it, and the answer for him is no. So he said he's there to listen. She's like, with an open mind, he's like, I'm listening to understand. So she's like, how dare he take this decision after 2 days? He just met with her dad, he just shook her dad's hand, and he's throwing it away for this moment. And Tim said, I took the time with your dad seriously, and she's saying he's not done enough things to give this a true shot. He's like, hey, I've been more affectionate physically, and you didn't notice. And she's like, I've been asleep. And I'm like, Alex, it seems like you napping and being asleep is what you're saying constantly. So I'm wondering about that. So he talks about all the stuff he did for her family, from going to do the groceries, picking out the menu, cooking the meal, making sure everything is ready, and then he comes in and have to do the dishes too. He said he won't ask her to do the dishes for, on his family day, but, if he has to communicate, then she's not the one for him. So she's like, don't spin it like that. He has temper tantrums and attitudes, and this is like a slap. Tim is like, there's no scenario he sees himself making her his wife forever. So we can agree, I don't ever want to see you again. This was nice. Wish you the best of luck. Now, Tim, that was a little snooty. That was a little jab. But I can see how you're hurt, but you have to still speak up. You have to let her know how much communication means to you. So she cannot read your mind. And if you tell her and she does not make adjustments, then is something. But I do understand. While someone is cooking the meal, doing the dishes, does show something, and going to sleep right after the cameras and not staying till your parents leave is saying something. So just pay attention to it and have conversations about it. But I'm glad you're not nitpicking like Hannah seems to be doing. So the song they give is, That's What Happens When You Play With Fire. He even left the picture that they painted for each other in the pods. He even left it on the coffee table. He was gone. No luggage, no nothing. So did Tim really move it? So then we have Taylor and Garrett. He's looking forward to the flight and meeting her family. Then we see Nick and Hannah. Said some people, they may want closure. He had a connection with Katie. And, Hannah says she's good with her decision. And she doesn't need closure. And I'm like, Hannah, what about Leo? Hannah, are we forgetting about Leo? That was a really, really strong connection, Hannah. So they're all preparing basically for the party time. It's a kind of like an old school Gatsby themed party for all the couples and the folks from the pods to come back. So of course they show us the food is on camera. They let us see we are feeding these people. Taylor's in the street with Garrett, walking, coming to the party, and they're having a moment, a disagreement. Garrett had a message from his ex. And, she says she wants to make sure Garrett is shutting down those types of messages. And he's like, he just liked the message. She says she's not okay with it. She's been cheated on before. And this is just not cool. He needs to kind of like separate himself and tell the ex he has someone. We'll put a pin in that for later. Tim and Alex arrive separately. So Alex calls him a coward. Ashley says she hopes the men are not talking about her business, but then she proceeds to tell the women all the business. And I'm like, girl. She says, he has some donor children, but he gets her coffee every day, flowers. He fights for the relationship every day. Is it the relationship he's fighting for, or just that couch? I know that was a little petty, but I had to ask. So Monica arrives. She said she called Steven. Why, Monica? You got your money back. Why? She said she called Steven and they talked for 2 hours and they are in a good place. Bowden arrives. Remember, he had a correct connection with Marissa. And Marissa said his voice sounds comfortable and familiar. So I believe Katie arrives, and Hannah brings Nick over to meet Katie. And Katie says she thinks Nick is better looking in person. You go, Katie. Remember, Katie was there in the pods, and Nick thought she worked for the Washington team. She actually works for the Baltimore Ravens, and they had good banter about it. Garrett says now that he's responded to the ex-text saying he's engaged, he's sitting down with Tyler and Ashley. So in sitting down with Tyler, Ashley, and Taylor's there, he's just saying, hey, he responded back. He said, hey, I'm engaged now. Please don't contact me again. And Taylor's pissed that he said before he only liked the message and he did not respond. Tyler and Ashley said maybe we should step away and give them some space. But Taylor left the table and Ashley follows. And I think it's better, he told the ex, that he's engaged and to stop texting. That is initially what Taylor wanted. So I know she's upset that he lied about what he did, but he actually did what you wanted him to do. So while I see you're upset, the walking away and the heightened emotions, I'm not quite getting. Because he technically did what you said you wanted him to do. But I understand the previous traumas of being cheated on is surfacing. So we have Marissa, Bowden, and Ramsey. So Ramsey said he's going to leave so they could talk. She expected Bowden to be short and tiny. And Ramsey says, he comes back and he says, they all three kind of talked and make jokes. And Marissa says that Bowden feels more like a friend. Katie tells the girls that Nick is cuter again. Katie's liking her some Nikki D. Y'all ladies talk all this crap about Nikki D in the ladies' lounge, and Katie's loving him. Hannah says she's very overcritical of him. Ashley says, Hannah, let him see your fun side. Broaden his horizon. So Hannah said they got to work on their intimacy, and she goes into detail with Ashley and says he's jealous of her toy, and she's had a lot of partners. He's not explorative. He's more like an 18-year-old in that department, and oh golly, she goes on and on. And I'm sorry, I probably understand now why Nick did not want her talking about their intimacy, because she goes into detail as to what he does not and cannot do and what she has to teach him. That is no way at all you want your partner to be talking about you, even if it's in jest. So the song they give is You're Going to Be the Best I Ever Had. Shade. Netflix, shade. So Nick and Katie, they sit down and have a talk. Katie says, she has always dated an athlete. That's what she's used to. Nick said he didn't care about her age. She's 35. Remember, he's 28. She said she dated the same type of guy for 10 to 15 years. And he said maybe it's not the type of guy, it's the guy. Maybe that's just your type and you just need to find a different guy. So they talk about how they gave each other goosebumps. They agree that, they were each other's number ones for a few days. And she seemed like a great person. And he said, ooh, he liked her IG. Nick, you want to check out the IG, huh? But Nick said, you left me. Nick was like, you dumped me in the pod. She's like, yeah, I remember. I didn't think you were mature. And I thought you were objectifying me by saying I would look sexy. Nick is like, fine. You didn't see a future with me, and that's okay. So she said, he leads with his charm and charisma too hard. She said, lead with your heart, lead with your values. And his charm and charisma seems to be a defense mechanism in place of his insecurities. She says, you're a whole package, and she's proud of his growth already. And he is happy where he has grown, he told her. And I'm like, that was really great advice from Katie. Katie really came at this the way I was hoping Hannah would. Tell him, yes, this is what I like about you. Here's how you could possibly change, but do it in a loving manner. So Hannah's talking to Monica on the side to say, is Katie really my friend? What are they talking about over there? And Monica is like, let them have a moment, let them talk, but Hannah's like, can we get rid of them? And she's like, no, we can't. So we have Taylor and Garrett talking. Taylor seems a little tipsy here, and I'm not sure if it's true, but she did seem that way. So Taylor, is going on about how he lied again. He did not, he did not pause to tell her word for word what he did. She doesn't want to have to look into his phone, but now she feels like she wants to. And I'm like, girl, you now heard the full story. He did shut it down with his ex. Please take it for what it is. She said it's facts versus detail. He said it's semantics. She's like, no, to you it may be. And he admitted he made a huge mistake. And I'm like, Taylor, don't be so upset. He did what you wanted him to do. So she said she needs to be 200% for him to meet her parents, and now she isn't. And Garrett says, it doesn't change who he is. It does not define him as a person. And she feels exhausted and confused. And the song they ended with is This Is When the Tides Will Turn. Thank you so much for joining me for episode 10 of Love is Blind DC, which is season 7. I hope you enjoyed it. Please take a moment to like the video, share, subscribe to the channel. Leave me a comment below. Let me know what you like, don't like, who you think is going to stay together, and who you think is going to break up. I'll see you in the next video.